Call the City Council meeting to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Whitman.
Excused.
Equangeli.
Excused.
Vining.
Excused.
Germaini.
Here.
Lamore.
Present.
Felder.
Here.
Mayor Clark.
Here. I'd ask we all please rise for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
As we gather this evening, let us take a moment to clear our minds and focus on the tasks at hand, the decisions to be made for the betterment of our community.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, first item, please.
The first item is amendments to the agenda.
And we'll see if there's any amendments to the agenda.
If I may.
Mr. Pastu.
Your Honor, in light of what we talked about at the end of the work session, that many of these items require 5 affirmative votes to proceed, I'm just going to ask that the council withdraw all the items that we have on the council action, and then also on the consent agenda, and at the end of the meeting, maybe we can talk a little bit about doing a special meeting maybe this Wednesday, so that at that point we will at least hopefully have a minimum of 5, more than 5 or more members present to act upon these items.
Mr. Budge, you have a comment?
I do, Your Honor. If I may, the only suggested modification I would make to that is that we approve the minutes and the payments to vendors, items A and B under the...
That would be fine, yes.
Should the public hearing be continued today
Yes.
as well? Because there may be public that wants to speak to something that's scheduled and make those accommodations. I think that should probably remain as well, the public hearing. Though the item itself won't be voted on in the public hearing.
Yep.
No, we need to maintain the public hearing.
I agree. So before we take any motions on...
So I would like clarification. I'd like that repeated in full.
Sure. Okay.
Exactly what we're going to do.
Okay.
You want me to give a shot, Matt?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. What I'm asking for is to amend the agenda that would continue everything that we have through item 6. Item 7, council action, would be moved to a later date. Under consent, everything else would be moved to another meeting, with the exception of item A, approval of the minutes, and B, approval of payment for vendors. And then the remainder with council comments, mayor comments, and the rest would proceed accordingly.
Would item A and B under consent agenda still be treated as a consent agenda, Mr. Buds?
Your Honor, that would be my position, yes.
Okay.
So before we take a motion, I think it's what's occurred here today. I received a call from Councilwoman Whitman, who was very ill. In fact, I'm surprised she is able to speak with me. She had also sent a message just a short time before that this afternoon. Later this afternoon, Councilwoman Vining called because of a personal matter that unexpectedly arose this afternoon, and she would be unable to attend. So at our work session that was held just before this, Councilman Equangeli had spoken to the city manager just as we were starting regarding a personal matter that has arose here this afternoon, which required his departure. He was here for the work session, but it required him to depart immediately regarding a family matter. So that leaves us with our 4 council members that are here, 3 council members and myself on the council. And I think it should be surmised, as the city manager said, there are action items on here related to contracts, might relate to an engagement letter. I'm just kind of perusing here quickly. Agreements or corrective action plans, resurfacing contract, a change order to a water main, bid award, things that progress that come along. So being that they require by charter 5 votes, and I'm not sure where everybody would have voted if we'd had 5 people here, but we don't. So with that, they can't even be considered because there's not sufficient council members present. There is sufficient council members to hold the meeting, which is 4, which is a majority. But certain items by charter require 5 votes. There's not 5 of us here, so it does not make sense to proceed and simply have everything not be passed without dialogue and consideration. So with that, I hope that explains where this meeting is at and why we're here at this. I think Clerk Treasurer LaVoy, does that work for you as far as explanation?
Yes, I just
as well?
wanted it to be clear for the public.
Right, thank you. And so now we're going to go back to remember what Mr. Pastu said he requested the motion to be, or at least what council he's recommended, not a motion, but he's recommending council should do, that we can attend to the items that are available as stated, but also citizens' comments and that, and of course pay the bills. So I'm looking to council to see if there's any questions for either the city attorney, clerk, senior manager. If not, I think at this point there's a suggestion on a motion to proceed through this evening. Councilman Lamore.
I'll give it my best shot here, Your Honor. I'd like to motion to remove all items listed under council action and all items under the consent agenda that require 5 votes. And I propose that we put those up for, table those for later consideration in another meeting.
And to include the payment to the vendors.
Yes, because that does not require the 5 votes.
Butts?
Your Honor, if I may, just to clarify, that would leave some items the way that it was worded, because there are a few items, in my opinion, that would not require 5 votes. So I think the question that I would pose to the council member making the motion is, are we leaving only items A and B and postponing the rest, or are we leaving certain other items that would not require 5 votes?
We are leaving all items that do not require 5 votes.
So I'm going to just go through those because I did look at that. Under the consent agenda, item 2102, which was appointments for boards and commissions. 2096 was the consideration of approving the ethics section to the purchasing policy, which was discussed at a previous work session. And item 2095, which was approval of the social media policy, which was also discussed at a previous work session with council 2 weeks ago. And I don't believe any comments. I'll leave Mr. Pastu see if there's any other comments that came in from those. I don't believe there were.
No, those would be the only ones I would see that don't require 5 votes.
Along with A and B.
Along with A and B, yes.
Councilman Lamore, is that review accurate of your motion?
It is.
Okay. Mr. Butts?
I'm comfortable with the form of that motion.
Okay. There is a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, there's a motion by Councilman Lamore, supported by Councilwoman Germaini, for the motion as was stated. I'm not going to repeat it all. I know the clerk has it. I'll see if there's any other conversation from council. So this is under the amend the agenda, which is at the start of the agenda as well. So with that, if there's no other comments, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Germaini?
Yes.
Lamore?
Yes.
Felder?
Yes.
Mayor Clark?
Yes. Next item.
The next item is citizen comments not related to an agenda item.
So because there are members that come at various meetings, so there's citizens or those present, are there any of those present here this evening who wish to make public comment? Yes, sir. Please up to the podium. Reminder, I'd ask you for your name and address, and of course the rules of the chamber. We like to keep items to 3 minutes, but we seem to have a little more time tonight too. So. Name and address, please.
My name is Rick Whited. I live at 847 La Pleasance Road, and just wanted to comment on the parking on La Pleasance Road. I was under the impression, since you put curbs in about 8 years ago or so there, they look fabulous. But I was told that there would be parking allowed northbound on La Pleasance Road. Never have had a problem before, but on June 28th, a state police officer knocked on my door and informed me that if I didn't have my car moved within 2 minutes, it'd be towed. And rather than arguing, I moved my car.
Sure.
And then on June 30th, 2 city police officers knocked on my door and told me to move my car again. And I know you're allowed to park there. There's 28 feet. And towards 6th Street on La Pleasance Road, the lines are painted to reflect northbound parking.
Okay.
And in front of my house, they're painted right in the middle, so that might lead to some confusion. And I wasn't about to argue with a police officer. I'm not going to point out.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you came in because I drive, as many people here do, La Pleasance, and I see cars parked there. I don't know the exact
It's right across from
time
here.
frame.
I'm sorry to
From the
interrupt you,
Hamptons.
sir.
Okay. So, I think we'll have to go back and, review the traffic control order that was set, so we know it's clear for everybody. Maybe there's a sign that's needed, this was there, maybe not be there. I'm looking at Mr. Lewis, who does with our traffic committee and our traffic control orders, but of course, Chief of Police, Charles McCormick is there as well. So if you would speak with both of them here, that way we can get, some more detail if needed, and get back to you right away. I appreciate you coming in and letting us know that, because, it might be, just a distance or signing thing, because there are parking a lot in locations there.
Yeah, it says no parking on the southbound side.
Yes,
but
correct.
there's no signage on the
Okay.
northbound.
All right, we'll look that through. I appreciate you letting us know that. Please see both of them today. Thank you, sir. Other comments from those present here this evening? Any public comment? Of course, at the end of the meeting, there's also the opportunity for public comment as well. With that, clerk, next item, please.
The next item is a public hearing, item 2089, public hearing to receive and review comments on the proposed planned unit development agreement for 1003, 1007, and 1023 East Elm Avenue, and there are no comments on file in the clerk's office.
Okay, at this time, I'll open the public hearing regarding item number 2089 to receive and review comments regarding the proposed planned unit development for the locations that were stated on East Elm Avenue. Any notifications, or you said there are none? Is that correct at the clerk's office? No.
There are no comments.
Thank you. I missed that. Any comments from those present here this evening for this public hearing on the proposed planned unit development on East Elm Avenue? Any comments from those present? Yes, sir. Your name and address, please.
Richard Micka, 47 East Elm, Monroe, Michigan. We've known Mr. Crammond for quite a long time, and this PUD thing sounds like a pretty good idea, so we support that from a historical point of view, and I think it's a good opportunity for people to see something actually working in a kind of an interesting way out there on the battlefield, so we're very happy about that. I did notice that there were recommendations for archaeology and for other kinds of activities out there, but I think it'll be all right. They'll do a good job, and I think Mr. Crammond, being an excellent craftsman building furniture and such, be a great opportunity for people to see how people actually lived here 200 years ago. Thank you much.
Thank you, Mr. Micka. And in reference to that, at the work session, this was there's a presentation that was given. Of course, that can be watched through MPAC. And from the staff's recommendation regarding if there's any type of ground disturbance and that archaeology, that there would be, I'll just say an expert or personal qualifications that'll be there to assist with that, to make sure that we're not disturbing, but also if there is something that is accounted for appropriately. So thank you. Other comments from those present? Yes, name and address, please.
Good evening, y'all. Jeannie Mecca, 47 East Elm, Monroe. I salute Mr. Crammond for doing this, and I think it's a unique opportunity to show that the private sector can be a very useful part of the development of the 1812 scene here. And I think he should be commended, and you should too, for urging him to do this. And as a member of the River Raisin Archaeological Chapter of Michigan Archaeology Society, we offer our assistance if there's any way we can be of help in this process. Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments from those present here this evening? Seeing no further comments, close the public hearing. Clerk, next item, please.
The next item would be the consent agenda as amended. And item B would be approval of payments to vendors in the amount of $932,830.32, 932-830.32.
Thank you. Are there any items that remain on the consent agenda that council wishes to have pulled for further discussion? Just to review that again, it's item, on the agenda is item 2102, 2096, and 2095. The rest have already been...
And items A and B.
And items A and B, thank you, I'm sorry. Any items, those three items you wish to have pulled? Obviously, you could pull the A or B. We have the minutes if there was an adjustment. Thank you, clerk. And if there was an adjustment on the payment to vendors, if there was a question about one of those. Any items to be pulled? With that, any items from those present here this evening that wish to have pulled for further discussion, the items in which I stated? Seeing none, a motion will be in order.
Your Honor,
Councilman Lamore.
I would motion that we accept, place on file, and adopt the items that are on the consent agenda.
I would support the councilman's motion.
Motion by Councilman Lamore, supported by Councilman Felder, that the all items on the consent agenda be accepted, placed on file. All resolution is adopted. No further comment. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Germaine,
Yes.
Lamore,
Yes.
Felder,
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes.
I have no further items.
No further items. Council comments, and we would start down here, but we'll go right over to Councilwoman Germaine for her comments to start this evening.
First of all, this has been the strangest meeting I think I've ever been to. But I would like to congratulate Pastor Boone at Oaks of Righteousness for winning that $50,000 from the Art Band Charity Challenge. I think it's great that she did that. And also, I'd like to congratulate Lieutenant Scott Smiley for being in the right place at the right time to take care of that person's life. Thank you for your service. That's all.
Thank you. Councilwoman Moore.
Just a reminder, it's hot. Make sure you stay hydrated. Anybody that's doing yard work or anything in the city. I also want to remind our people that, please keep your yards in order. It only increases your property values. So not just yours, but everybody else around you as well. So please keep that in mind when you want to maintain your home. And that's it.
Thank you. Councilman Felder.
Yes, just a brief question for Barry Leroy. I think you might need to check out the water on the south side of the river. They seem to be causing some issues and some absences this evening. So, in the effort to keep a short meeting short, I have no comments this evening, Your Honor.
Thank you. I do live on the south side of the river. So. Just a couple of comments as we move along here. I want to just remind everybody the activities and opportunities to be involved in the community and in not just the downtown, but specifically the concert in the parks, which continues at St. Mary's every Thursday in the evening. Of course, the jazz series continues every other Thursday. There's a couple of those left before we get into the jazz festival at St. Mary's Park. But I do want to make a comment, a note, because it's administration and myself has been contacted by a few people at the park, and it usually starts well, and we get to the middle part and we start to have some challenges because a year ago, council passed that there's no smoking in the city parks, and for the most part, I think that everybody's conscious of that. We get to events and activities such as the concerts in the park. It's not just residents, it's those that come from outside the community as well, and especially when the jazz festival begins. Unfortunately, we had a few concerned citizens, and they were residents as well as out of town, regarding some attention to that. So I make this comment now, but please be mindful of that. There is no smoking of any kind within our city parks, and we're going to ensure that as we start to remind our guests and our residents at the beginning of our concerts and during, to make sure that mindful of it. There's locations outside the park area. If those that feel the need and just can step away. So that's just an opportunity to enjoy an evening at the park. There's a couple or more left that'll be a lot of fun and mindful of the park rules. So I'm going to follow that up with, because it does fall on one of the concert in the parks night, is the Downtown Monroe Business Networks having the Ducky Dash. And we haven't done that for a while because the ducks didn't want to go down the river past the Lowhead Dams. They started going the wrong way. But this year, the Lowhead Dams are gone, thanks to the work of the Commission on the Environment, Barry Leroy, and others with that. And I think they'll be racing down the river this year. But that is on Saturday, Thursday, I'll correct that. I'm reading my wrong note here. Thursday, July 26th at 6 p.m. It's the same night as the concert in the park, so come down and have a good evening. It should be a lot of fun. You can visit most any downtown business that'll sell you tickets if you want to sponsor one of the ducks and have fun. Hope your number comes in. So the River Raisin Cleanup with the Commission on the Environment and many of our residents and administration, and Barry Leroy and his leadership, we have our river cleanup that's scheduled for Saturday, July 21st. Begins at 9 a.m. to 12 noon. It'll be at Soldiers and Sailors Park as a gathering area at the pavilion there, and that is on East Front Street, and that's July 21st. So every year with our sister city from Hof, Japan, there are 5 students from the Monroe region's high schools that go to Japan, and the Hofu students from Japan, 5 students come here. Our students departed on July 11th, are in Japan currently, and the students from Japan will arrive here on July 26th. So I know many, I received a few phone calls regarding some inquiries as well as concerns because of the flooding and catastrophes in Japan, primarily in the Hiroshima prefecture, and Hof is located in the Yamaguchi prefecture. While they did have rains, I did receive some correspondence as that was coming in and from some of our friends here in the city, but also in contact with those from Japan, said that our sister city of Hofu did not have any major damage. However, they did receive some flooding, and it was obviously hindered some business. And they said after the rain stopped, the temperatures were in the 90 degrees and the humidity was 80 to 90%, which is the norm there for those that have attended. So our students were going to get that engagement. Another email I received, they said again there was a lot of rain, some flooding, but Hiroshima and the outlying areas were hit the hardest. We also made contact with our friends from the Delta Corporation, which is that seat company that makes for Mazda. Our good friends that are in Hiroshima, and they were impacted more so with the closure of the plant for a few days. And the ability wasn't that the plant wasn't operational; the workers couldn't get there because of the catastrophe. Unfortunately, there were not necessarily this area, but throughout the flooding area, there were deaths. And our thoughts, of course, and our prayers go out to our sister city and to Japan. Now, this has been a week plus ago, but I know they're still coming out of that. But they had 5 to 6 inches of stormwater rainwater that came in and flooded some of the plants. So our students are there. They're fine. They're not impacted. So that did not impact our ability for our sister city student exchange program to continue. But because I did receive some calls and also contacts with our friends from Hofu, I wanted to share that for those that are know that they have continued relationships with that. Firefighter Smiley, my congratulations for your great work. You know, as the councilwoman said, you know, right place and right time. But I know your skills, recognition, partnership with others. You didn't have to introduce yourself. You knew what to do. Those that were there knew what to do and how to do that in a period of time that it wasn't just a couple minutes. So, great article to read about and hear about, as it was reported also through the news. And job well done. My congrats. Those are my comments for the evening. Clerk Treasurer Lavoie.
No, I have no comments, Your Honor.
Election.
No, I have no comments.
Okay, it is coming up. Mr. Pastu.
Yes. Now figure out when we're going to meet. I did talk with Councilmember Rico Angeli before he had to depart. He is available Wednesday. Obviously under charter, I can't schedule a meeting. I would have to come through the mayor, talk briefly with Councilmember Felder. He's got a meeting later that night, but if we can squeeze that in prior, that would be great. There are a number of items that are somewhat time sensitive that we really would like to get council to consider approval rather than wait a period of time. So I throw that out Wednesday evening. I know there's a Commission on the Environment meeting that night at 7:30. If we can meet somewhere before that, maybe 6:45 or so. I'm just throwing that out there as a suggestion. And then we would have to, you know, the mayor through and clerk properly notice that special meeting, so.
So as I recall, and I'll look to the city attorney to make sure he corrects me, that a special meeting can be called by 2 members of council with proper notification and time frame. And I'll look at the clerk as well, because I'm trying to remember the time frame of posting for that. And we also consider our clerk treasurer and ability to be at the meeting, because we have to have a representative for that as well. So Mr. Buds, I don't know if there's any additional that you would provide for that from the city manager's comment. We'll have to look to the council members on their availability. That's something that can be discussed. Looking at time frame, I think we'd have to do this rapidly to post. So I'm looking to yourself, but also Clerk Lavoie for her guidance as well.
Your Honor, I think you've accurately stated one part of the charter. Under C-58, it would say that the mayor and any one member of council or any 2 members of council may appoint special meetings of the council. Written notice has to be given to each council person. Now, for council persons, it says at least 2 hours before the meeting. In terms of open meetings requirements, my recollection off the top of my head is that we'd have 18 hours of notice to have to give prior to that.
Correct. Is this room available?
That's a good question.
I think that, we would have to look at the availability, whether it's, I suspect that the Cody meeting is scheduled for the 3rd floor. On the 2nd floor? Okay, so the 3rd floor probably is, those are the details that we would have to work out between the mayor and the clerk regarding the location and whether this is available or not.
And then, of course, as we have with our impact and availability of going to be able to be available also. There's many components here. We want to make sure we get the message out both through radio and press, and also through impact and on the city site. But first thing is, if for sure we have council members that aren't here, we'd have to check with as well right away. But the council members that are here, because the whole intent is to make sure there's sufficient council members to, really the full council is what we'd be looking for at all meetings, and this is a unique circumstance. So I don't know if there's questions for council or thoughts or conflicts. We should know them now. If I know that Councilman Felder said you have something, but time-wise, if that works.
Just the Commission on the Environment meeting.
Okay. Yeah, because he has obligations there also. Okay. It's not a decision that's made now. It's something that will have to be called and sent and move forward with the clerk's office. Something that we'll be working on later after this meeting and make sure things are posted in an appropriate time frame.
And putting the agenda together.
That too. Yes. Again.
I have nothing else.
Okay. With that, any comments, citizens' comments from those present this evening? Any further comments from those present this evening? Seeing no comments, motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
I'll second.
Motion from Councilman Lamore, supported by Councilwoman Germaine to adjourn. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Germaine?
Yes.
Lamore?
Yes.
Felder?
Yes.
Mayor Clark?
Yes.